Welcome once again to the race highlights of this year's Tour of Hungary 2022. We start with the stage one at the place of Csakwár, the home and host of the start of this first stage of Tour of Hungary. The 198 kilometer, the longest stage of the race was the stage one with 1,651 meters of altitude difference. As I said, starting in Csakwár, practically the central part of the country. We'll see now the graphic of that first stage. We started in Csakwár, then we went to three local laps in Bicske, where we had the Bicske intermediate sprint and the category 3 climb at Etyek. And then returning through Vértesboglár, Csakwár, finishing in Székesfehérvár. Although we had so many meters of climbing at the first stage of this year's Tour of Hungary, it was dearly expected that we will have a sprint finish. This was the official start of the stage number one at Csakwár. These are the kids from the local school at Etyek, and this was the situation at these moments. 188.8 kilometers. Dina Roskov, Reinders, Van Poelke and Filutas were the members of that first breakaway that we had on this year's race. It was Victor Filutas, the Hungarian national champion who rides for Adria Mobile, who took the first points on offer, the first points in the KOM classification in front of Aaron Van Poelke. Aaron Van Poelke from Sport Vlaanderen Baloise, one of the two Belgians that were present in the stage one breakaway, along with Jens Reinders. You can see Filutas also contested the points for the intermediate sprint at Bicske. We could see now the young rider from Bike Exchange, that was Alexander Balmer from Switzerland, who was riding on the tempo in front. But then after that initial success of Filutas, Aaron Van Poelke started to collect more and more points in the KOM classification, and Filutas felt really good, and this was practically the last thing that we saw on this year's race from Filutas. Couldn't respond anymore during the later stages, but on this stage the two riders of Sport Vlaanderen Baloise worked very well. They split their obligations. Reinders was responsible for the intermediate sprint. Van Poelke was contesting the KOMs, and he took the maximum points at the last third category climb at Etyek. This is now the intermediate sprint at Csakwár. They still had some 41 seconds of time gap in front of the big group. As you can see, Reinders in the same manner, and there was a big fall. Did not produce too many victims. We could see the Ahmed and Callum Johnston from Caja Rural Seguros. Also Victor Filutas was having a lot of problems after that fall. The national champion of Bahrain, Ahmad, was also involved in that crash, but it didn't produce any abandons. And then such a shame for the stage 1 breakaway, because they were caught some 900 meters to go. There were no organized sprinting trains except Jumbo-Visma, who managed to pull through two of their guys up front. And in a very, very chaotic finish, Olaf Koy managed to triumph in front of Elia Viviani and Patrick Conrad. This was Olaf Koy, young 20-year-old sprinter from Jumbo-Visma, who got the best of it in that sprint at Szökesfehérvár. Elia Viviani was closely following him, but at the end, Olaf Koy takes the win and also takes the leader jersey after the stage 1 of Tour of Hungary 2022. Properly excited Dutch rider Olaf Koy, after winning mano a mano former European and Olympic champion Elia Viviani from Ineos Grenadiers. And he was confirmed leader in the general classification, and he will have the yellow jersey on his back at the stage number 2. He also took the lead in the points classification, in the classification for the green jersey.
Ladies and gentlemen,
and Aron van Poelke, one of the 2 Sport Vlaanderen Baloise riders from the breakaway, took the red jersey on this first stage, while Dina Marton took the lead in the best Hungarian rider classification, rider of Iolo Camera white team. The second stage, the 192-kilometer long stage from Karcag to Hajdú-Szabolcs, both cities very familiar in the history of Tour of Hungary. I said 192 kilometers, but just 185 meters of altitude difference, finishing in the most famous spa city of Hungary, Hajdú-Szabolcs. As I said, dead flat stage with intermediate sprint at Tiszafüred, then another intermediate sprint at Tiszaújváros, the penultimate intermediate sprint at Balmásújváros, and then a finish line at Hajdú-Szabolcs. Jens Reinders had the green jersey on his back, substituting Olaf Koy, who was today at stage 2 in the yellow. We now see the official start going out from Karcag. It was very, very hard to predict what will happen at this stage. although it was a dead flat, it had a lot of wind that day. It was a small breakaway with Petersen, Battistella, Kustor, Juri Leitao, Jens Reinders, David Per, and Nicolas Dalla Valle. That was Filippo Baroncini, who managed to bridge over to the breakaway group. Then Jens Reinders took the maximum points at the first intermediate sprint at Tiszafüred. He celebrated with that fist bump in front of Filippo Baroncini and Nicolas Dalla Valle. That was Fabio Jakobsen, who was on ice pack and water bottle duty that day. Then we saw again Jens Reinders going all for it at the second intermediate sprint at Tiszaújváros. The time difference was much more than 1 minute, but you could see at these moments the wind started to blow really hard, and it was crosswind, immediately used by the big teams behind to create echelons and to isolate some of the competitors for the sprint. Among them, Dylan Groenewegen. Bike Exchange needed to send out their man behind to reel in Dylan Groenewegen. You could see how well was organized that first group. Jens Reinders, unfortunately, sometime after had a mechanical, and he was struggling to caught the front group. He couldn't contest the last intermediate sprint of stage 2 at Balmásújváros. So the points were taken by Elia Viviani in front of Chris Nylund and Tom van Avsbroek. Famous Chicos were once again on the road, saluting the peloton. Famous horsemen riders. And when we entered at Hajdú-Sobosló, was a pretty technical entrance for the last kilometer. It was a hard right corner, some 900 meters to go. The two groups that were separated by that strong crosswind united just 5 kilometers before that, and then the stress and nervousness really started to reel in, and the effect of that nervousness was seen some 300 or 400 meters till the end, when big crash happened, and only 20-25 riders were able to contest that finish. Among them was Fabio Jakobsen, who didn't have any problem to triumph in this reduced bunch sprint, and he managed to win it in front of Rudy Barbier. But unfortunately, Olaf Koy had a really deep cut after that fall. He needed to finish in the hospital that night, and after the second stage he needed to abandoned the race, unfortunately for Olaf Koy and for Team Jumbo-Visma. Once again, you could see the severity of that fall, involving almost 15 or 20 riders. And this is how the last sprint looked like from the helicopter. Fabio Jakobsen was the winner of the Stage 2 and also the new leader of Tour of Hungary 2022.
The winner of the second stage is Fabio Jakobsen.
Jens Reinders was in the yellow. I apologize. He had the 4 seconds of lead in front of Fabio Jakobsen. Young Belgian who tirelessly worked during these 192 kilometers to Hajdú-Soboslo, but he also led the points classification. He had the bragging rights of having the green jersey. Aron van Pucke, Reinders' colleague from Sport Vlaanderen Baloise, kept the red jersey on today's stage. They didn't saw any KOMs during those 192 kilometers, while Martondina, like on stage 1, kept his lead and the best Hungarian rider in the general classification. We're already on stage 3 that was ridden from Szarospatak to Nyíregyháza. 154 kilometers, 565 meters of altitude difference. See now the graphic of that third stage that was ridden from Szarospatak to Nyíregyháza, with the first climb of the third category at Erdőbényi. And we had the first intermediate sprint at Tokaj, and another intermediate sprint at Kemecse, with a finish line at Nyíregyháza. That was the only day that we had the bad weather. Raining, well, not raining, but drizzling almost all day long. You can see Rainsford in yellow jersey and his substitute Rudy Barbier, the French rider of Israel Premier Tech, in the green jersey. This was the start at Szarospatak. You can see Mick van Dijk, Olaf Koy, Einar Augusto Rubio Reyes, Arvid de Klein. They're just the riders who did not manage to start. Victims and the casualties of that yesterday's fall. Beautiful Erdőbényi mine lake. And this was the Erdőbényi Category 3 climb. Of course, Aron van Pucke was there to attack the only KOM of this stage 3 and took the maximum points. Really, it was incredible to see Aron van Pucke working tirelessly and meticulously on gaining those valuable KOM points, but just after he crossed the line, he just moved back to the big group. helping his teammates, especially Rensburg, to protect the yellow jersey. This is now the breakaway. It was consisted of 4 riders, with the intermediate sprint in Tokai won by Emil Dima of Giotti Victoria in front of Riccardo Zurita. This Rudy Barbier had some issues with his rear mech. Slight aligning by the mechanic of Israel Premier Tech. Emil Dima continued his strong ride at Kemeche intermediate sprint, taking the maximum number of points in front of Zurita, the naturalized Spanish rider from Paraguay who rides for Drone Hopper. Some 16 kilometers to go. The group was unified once again, and we were expecting a bunch finish at Nireji Haza. We're expecting a fine duel between Fabio Jakobsen and Dylan Groenewegen. Maybe Elia Viviani too. As you can see, the speeds, incredible speeds of 60 kilometers per hour in the final kilometers and the preparations for the bunch sprint. Good work from the Ineos Grenadier team for Elia Viviani. And at the end, Viviani stayed empty-handed when Fabio Jakobsen, guided by Florian Seneschal, took the thing in his hands, attacked some 300 or 400 meters to go, following the wheel of one of the Bora Hansgrohe riders, and then with the open space that he had on the right, just sprinted out at this slightly uphill finish and came to his second stage victory here at Nirej Haza. And phenomenal performance by one of the top sprinters in today's cycling, elite cycling, Fabio Jakobsen. You can see him now, how Seneschal drove him to the front, and some few hundred meters to go, just let him up. He was having problems too with the spacing with one of the Team DSM riders, and at the end there was an open space on the right, just inviting him to make the final blow and win this stage 3 at Nireji Haza. This win brought the lead in the general classification for Fabio Jakobsen. So that meant that Fabio Jakobsen was the leader of the general classification and wearer of the yellow jersey on the stage 4 of Tour of Hungary 2022. As you can see, he had some 6 seconds of time gap in front of Reinders, 8 to Barbier, 11 to Elia Viviani. And in the points classification, Rudy Barbier took the lead with 32 points. just 2 points more than Fabio Jakobsen. While Aron van Pucke, with that brave ride at the beginning of the stage, kept his lead in the mountain classification. And the red jersey stayed on his back for the penultimate fourth stage. Same can be said for Dina Marton, who kept his lead in the best Hungarian rider classification, having the chance to wear once again the white jersey on the stage number 4. You can see now the circuit stage, starting and finishing in the city of Kazincbarcika, the famous city of murals. Kazincbarcika, very close to the Slovakian border. Multiple host of starts and finishes of Tour of Hungary, especially in the last 5 years. You can see now on the graphic, 177 kilometer long, 1,325 meters of altitude difference on the stage number 4. See the intermediate sprint at Ózd, then we had the second category climb at Farkaslyuk, then we entered the local lap at Kazincbarcika with the intermediate sprint at the finish line, and also the third category climb at Tardona, offering some points in these two classifications. Lülier-Kobuk Palace, or the Edelényi Palace in Kazincbarcika nearby. Just one of the many, one of the thousands palaces that we can find all around Hungary nowadays. Of course, like a script, we had again a breakaway group. Again, we had the Sport Vlaanderen Baloise rider there, and very happy and well animated. Fabio Jakobsen, probably he likes the yellow color on his back. Maybe a good rehearsal for Tour de France. Then at the category 2 climb at Farkaslyuk, it was Aron van Pucke time. Aron van Pucke once again. It turned out to be the best prepared mountain rider on this Tour of Hungary. Takes the maximum points on this second category climb, in front of Van den Bosch, Dima, and Josu Echeverria Spilicueta. We see now the results of the first intermediate sprint at Kazincbarcika finish line were taken by Van den Bosch. And the third category climb at Tardona village, also taken by Aron van Pucke. And this was the final lap, where once again the Belgian from Alpecin-Phoenix, Van den Bosch, took the maximum points in the points classification in front of Emil Dima and Van Pucke. while Van Pucke was mostly interested in this attempt to win the max points on Tardona climb and secure his win in the mountains classification already on the penultimate stage. Gave it all, went to red, and he could finally get some rest and breathe it out after he finished his job successfully. And we saw a reunified group, a pretty determined bike exchange team with almost everyone being there at the front working for Dylan Groenewegen. Groenewegen was nowhere to be found on those first 3 stages. It was his time to shine, but there was a big task in front of him. Of course, that was the Quick Steps lead-out sprint for Fabio Jakobsen. Nevertheless, Luka Mesgets did a phenomenal job for Groenewegen, leading him well for the last kilometer. Groenewegen afterwards decided that he doesn't need any more help from Mesgets, that he's okay with following Jakobsen's wheel. Then 300 meters to the final at Kazincbarcika. At this sharp left-hand corner, Dylan Groenewegen waited for his chance, waited for Florian Seneschal to back off, and then attacked as only he knows how to attack. And with a phenomenal sprint and with the few bike lengths of lead, won his first stage on the Tour of Hungary 22. Brought so much happiness and joy on his face. You could see Fabio Jakobsen not so satisfied with his own performance. Let's see once more that at finish at Kazincbarcika. You could see how spotless was the sprint of Groenewegen, who started his sprint, not just started, then annihilated Fabio Jakobsen in the run to the finish line. Rudy Barbier, French sprinter and the wearer of the green jersey, was there to confirm the podium of today's 4th stage, circuit stage from Kazincbarcika to Kazincbarcika. Joy and happiness on the face of Dylan Groenewegen. Finally, some good result for the Dutch sprinter. Fabio Jakobsen will stay and stayed in the yellow jersey, leader's jersey, for the last stage. Also, he led the points classification with equal number of points with Rudy Barbier, which meant that the French rider of Israel Premier Tech would have the green jersey on the last stage, while Aaron Van Pucke finally can ease it up after confirming his victory in the mountains classification.
Congratulations, Aaron!
Martondina, same as Van Pucke, kept his lead in the white jersey for the best Hungarian rider classification.
And where's the white jersey? Tilo Márton!
And this is the start of the last stage of this year's Tour of Hungary. The stage from Miskolc to Gyöngyös Kekestető, 184-kilometer long, 2,751 meters of altitude difference between the 3rd largest city in Hungary and the highest top of Hungary at the Kekestető mountaintop. This is how the stage looked like. We had a Holosteto category 1 climb at the beginning. Then we crossed Eger and the intermediate sprint in this city. Then we entered a small local lap at Matrafuret with the Matrafuret intermediate sprint and the second category climb at Matrachasa. And then, of course, at the end, the third climb of the day, the uphill finish at Gyöngyös Kekesteto. This is how it looked on the start of the last stage of this year's Tour of Hungary 2022 at Miskolc. These are the images from the official start. The attacks immediately came after a few kilometers from the start. This was the Lilafuret Palace, and we could see a six-man breakaway group already had 1 minute and 4 seconds of time gap. Let's see Della Valle from Italy fighting it out with Reinders and Umberto Marengo from Italy for those points at the first category climb at the Holosteto. Some of the tourist points of interest on today's stage. The Buk Observatory, Nicolas Dalla Valle once again very strong in the intermediate sprint at Eger, making the maximum points in front of Adam Karl and Jens Reinders. And we could see Nathan Brown, who decided to bridge over to the first group, and was time for Jens Reinders take some points in the points classification at Matrafuret intermediate sprint. Nathan Brown finally reached his colleagues from the breakaway, but not for too long time. Couldn't follow the tempo of the breakaway group on the climb at second category climb at Matrachasa. Again, all Italian duo between Umberto Marengo and Nicolas Dalla Valle, who took the 6 and 4 points in the KOM classification. And we saw another attack as the big group was closing in from the behind. Another attack of Nicolas Dalla Valle from Giotti Vittoria team. Thumbs up for the well-prepared and Fabio Jakobsen was in a good mood today, knowing that he finished his job very well at this year's Tour of Hungary. The only thing that was left was to defend his points classification lead from Rudy Barbier, who unfortunately a couple of kilometers before that intermediate sprint, that decisive intermediate sprint, had a crash. Also, there was a crash involving one Iolo Cometa and Jumbo Visma rider. It just made things much easier, I think, for Fabio Jakobsen to confirm his victory in the points classification at the Tour of Hungary 2022. This is just a graphic that confirmed, and Aaron van Pucken, who said that enough is enough. I did my work, I did my job. I won the mountains classification, now I can rest, and backed it off and left it to the GC teams to work out their fight for the GC, but first for the stage win and then for the GC. Eddie Dunbar made the first move, some 2 kilometers to go after phenomenal work of Ben Turner some few kilometers before that. Eddie Dunbar was heading to the finish line at Kekesteto, but at the end, almost at the line, Antonio Tiberi, the young Italian from Trek Segafredo, managed to reach Eddie Dunbar, and not just reach him, also win him and pip him on the line at Kekesteto, and come to his first professional victory of his career. 20-year-old Italian of Trek Segafredo. What a win it was. Managed even to zip his shirt, raise his hands, and celebrate it in style. Antonio Tiberi, Edward Dunbar, Rodriguez Garay-Coetzee, Battistella, Sambanini, Hagen, Egg, Nylands, Conrad, and Charmig. Antonio Tiberi, winner of stage number 5. And Eddie Dunbar, winner of the general classification in front of Rodriguez Garay-Coetzee and Samuele Battistella.
Samuele Battistella, the second place in Movistar team, Oscar Rodriguez. And the winner of the yellow jersey is Edward.
In the points classification, Fabio Jakobsen wins with 5 points saldo in front of Rudy Barbier. And what a Tour of Hungary it was for the Dutch sprinter. Kudos to him and to his team, and also kudos to Aaron van Pucke, who secured his mountains classification win already on the stage 4. So he could enjoy his red jersey during the last stage and put the foot out from the gas pedal. And Martondina, same as Van Pucke, managed to stay in the white jersey once again as the best Hungarian rider classified. This is all from me. My name is Svetozar Pavlovic. This was once again another edition of Tour of Hungary. Stay with us with these images and be with us next year on the next Tour of Hungary. Thank you.